Well, hi everybody. Welcome to my channel, Wisconsin Hugs. My name is Tony Grillo, and what you're seeing here on the screen in front of you is the cover to a children's novel that I wrote called Cucumbers the Rabbit. And one of the things about being a father is that I really enjoyed reading books to all my kids. And this is a picture right here of me reading a book to Elizabeth. She liked books even when she was a very young child, almost a baby, but she loved reading them. There she fell asleep. But here's another picture of me feeding my daughter. And here's a picture of me and my daughter when I was at the volunteer fire department. You can see she's got my eyes. And another picture of me and Elizabeth. Oops. And this is a picture of my daughter when she was in high school. I think she's wearing a Marilyn Monroe shirt. Let's see. A wise girl knows her limits. A smart girl a smart girl knows she has none. Marilyn Monroe. Pretty cool shirt. My daughter really liked this a little outfit here. It's like a space outfit or something. Pretty cool. And here's a picture of me and the kiddo when we went to Chicago. We hit the Shedd Aquarium and then we were eating lunch outside. And I wanted to take a picture of her with the city of Chicago behind her. Yeah, there's another picture of us. That was a picture of her with a stuffed octopus at the Shedd Aquarium. And, over the years, she's grown up to be a very fine young lady. But when she was a little girl, I wrote her a book, which I never thought I'd be an author, or that I even had it in me to be an author. But that's what the love of a daughter will do. It'll make you do things that you didn't know you could do. And so today I thought I would read the very first chapter of my book, Cucumbers the Rabbit, for all of you. So right here, you can actually Google this, my book, and it shows you the cover, which is right here. It doesn't come in very clearly, but there it is. And then you can actually read the pages. So I'm going to read the very first chapter. It's only a few pages. It should maybe take me about a couple minutes. Here we go. Cucumbers the Rabbit. Hidden deep in the forests of Wisconsin is a place called Bunnytown. And this is about a young rabbit that lives there. His name is Cucumbers, and there are two things that make him different. The first is that Cucumbers has green fur. The second is his choice of food. While other rabbits enjoy eating carrots, lettuce, peas, or spinach, the only thing Cucumbers packs in his lunchbox, which you've probably already guessed by now, is cucumbers. Therefore, his parents named him Cucumbers. And this is how Cucumbers the Rabbit became famous. Now, Cucumber's neighbor happens to be the most famous rabbit of all, Mr. Easter Bunny, and today was Easter morning. As the sun was peeking out Mr. Easter Bunny was hiding Easter baskets when a dog snuck up on him. Mr. Easter Bunny knew all the dogs in the neighborhood. However, this dog was a surprise, and therefore he concluded it must have been an Easter present. Now, most dogs loved Mr. Easter Bunny because he gave them treats. However, this scary-looking dog hadn't met Mr. Easter Bunny before, and it was growling. "Roar. Nice doggy, doggy," said Mr. Easter Bunny as he slowly backed away. He tossed a doggy treat into the air, but it hit the dog's face, and the dog got angry and attacked. Mr. Easter Bunny dropped his baskets and ran towards the chain-link fence that bordered the backyard. As Mr. Easter Bunny ran, he knew he'd be safe if he could get to the other side of that fence. However, as he got closer, Mr. Easter Bunny realized the fence was too high to jump over, and a dog would get him if he tried climbing up. So the only way he figured he could get to safety was to squeeze underneath. And that's what he did. He dove under and unfortunately got stuck. Then, if things couldn't get worse, there was a new angry dog on the other side of the fence, a fearsome-looking Doberman. And it too was growling. I don't know how Doberman growl. Mr. Easter Bunny asked, "Why buy a dumb angry dog for Easter?" The dogs had Mr. Easter Bunny trapped. Being in danger for his life, he quickly prayed for an angel to save him. The one dog was taking chomps out of Mr. Easter Bunny's backside, while the Doberman was still on the other side of the fence, snapping at his ears, at the ears of a very stuck Mr. Easter Bunny. After taking one more painful chomp to his backside, Mr. Easter Bunny got mad and kicked the dog right in the kisser. The stunned dog backed off, allowing Mr. Easter Bunny to suck in his gut and free himself from being trapped under the fence. The dog shook off the rabbit's kick to the face and was ready to pounce, and with nowhere to go but up, Mr. Easter Bunny climbed the fence as fast as he could go. The dog tried to bite him, but missed. Meanwhile, the Doberman leapt, but the fence prevented him from touching the rabbit. After a frantic few seconds of climbing, Mr. Easter Bunny finally made it to the top of the fence where neither dog could reach. Then Mr. Easter Bunny gave thanks and ran across the top of the fence over to a nearby telephone pole. After climbing the pole, Mr. Easter Bunny stopped long enough to catch his breath and watch the dog destroy all the remaining baskets he was supposed to deliver. Discouraged for not finishing his deliveries, Mr. Easter Bunny started making his way across the telephone line when he suddenly didn't feel very good. Then he noticed he was bleeding, and realizing he had to get off the telephone line before he passed out and fell, he was lucky to find a tree branch hanging close by, and using what fading strength he had left, Mr. Easter Bunny jumped onto that branch and slowly made his way down the tree. He was glad this house didn't have a dog. Then the injured Mr. Easter Bunny slowly limped home. Now this is the part where our hero, Cucumbers the Rabbit, enters the story. He was also up early that morning. He was weeding his garden when Mr. Easter Bunny collapsed in front of him. Cucumbers ran over to Mr. Easter Bunny and found him unconscious and bleeding, but still breathing. So Cucumbers yelled for his father, who was a first responder and a firefighter, to help. Cucumber's dad heard his son and came running with his first aid kit. While tending to Mr. Easter Bunny's wounds, Cucumber's dad told Cucumbers to call 911 for an ambulance. The ambulance showed up 10 minutes later, and about 45 minutes after that, Mr. Easter Bunny was recovering in a hospital bed. He smiled when the young green rabbit walked into his hospital room. "Hi, Cukes," Mr. Easter Bunny greeted. "Hi," Cucumbers replied. He was glad Mr. Easter Bunny was okay and asked, "Is there anything I can do for you?" "Yeah," Mr. Easter Bunny said. "I haven't finished all my Easter deliveries." "I can help do that. Cucumbers eagerly replied. What about dogs? Cucumber's father asked with concern. One of the houses has a friendly black lab named Franklin who is kept in a kennel. The other houses don't have dogs. Now there's one more problem. I don't have any candy or eggs left to put into the baskets. No problem, Cucumbers replied. I know precisely what to deliver. And Mr. Easter Bunny smiled, thinking how those kids would be in for a surprise because he knew precisely what Cucumbers would deliver. When Cucumbers headed out, Mr. Easter Bunny yelled, Hey, Cukes, there are extra baskets inside my shop. So the Green Bunny went to Mr. Easter Bunny's house and got the extra baskets. Then he hopped over to his garden and filled those baskets with the things he treasured most. Finally, Cucumbers delivered those Easter baskets, and Mr. Easter Bunny was right. The children that got those baskets were definitely surprised. Now, Cucumbers the Rabbit visited my house that faithful morning. We were back from Easter Mass when my children, Caitlin, Justin, Matthew, Zechariah, and Elizabeth, all ran out to the backyard to search for their Easter baskets. When the kids finally found them, they were surprised at the contents. The baskets weren't filled with candy or colored eggs. Instead, their Easter baskets contain only one thing, and I bet you have already figured out what that thing was. Here's a clue. It's a vegetable, it's green, and they are healthy. If you answered cucumbers, ding, 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 you were correct. And when my kids searched the backyard for their colored eggs, all they found were more cucumbers, along with a note that read, Have a happy Easter from your pal, Cucumbers the Rabbit. This also happened at the other houses in my neighborhood, and a newspaper reporter caught wind of the story and interviewed the kids that lived next to me. Then he put the story on the front page of our local newspaper, where it drew statewide attention. And everyone in Wisconsin was asking, who is Cucumbers the Rabbit? And what happened to the Easter Bunny? And that is the story of how a certain young green rabbit named Cucumbers became almost as famous as his next-door neighbor, Mr. Easter Bunny. Now, as the years pass, Mr. Easter Bunny doesn't get any younger. So from time to time, he'll ask his little buddy Cukes to help him deliver some baskets. So if some Easter morning you happen to find a cucumber in your basket instead of candy or colored eggs, well, you can thank good old Cucumbers the Rabbit for thinking of you. The end. And then I wrote a little dedication here for my daughter. This story is for my daughter Liz. This whole book began at our cabin in Park Falls, Wisconsin at Blockhouse Lake. You were 4 years old, it was bedtime, and you couldn't keep your eyes open, so you asked me to make up a story, and being that it was Easter weekend, and we'd eaten a cucumber salad for breakfast, and then spent the rest of the evening watching the movie The Incredible Hulk, and it was as if by chance the combination of those three items, Easter, cucumbers, and the Hulk, had somehow given birth to the green rabbit known as Cucumbers. Then you asked for more stories, and it took a lot of work, but 10 years later, 20 stories had come about. And being a trucker, I spent many hours driving over the road trying to come back home with a new adventure about our green rabbit friend to entertain you with at bedtime. As you got older, I enjoyed discussing various plot lines with you and creating all those characters and places that make up Cucumber's world. We even teamed up to write some of these stories, and that's the reason for the picture on the cover. Pink Soda, the Pink Seal, Violet, the Purple Cow, and Blue Moon Night Sky, the Gray Whale were all characters you created when we came up with that story about Cucumbers going to Alaska for his vacation. Even more funny was that particular story had been created when you were 5 and you were playing with your bathtub toys. I especially liked the names you chose. You said that all the animals in Alaska had to have a color in their name. I'm glad that Cucumbers the Rabbit belongs to us, and I hope he brings as much fun to whoever is reading this book as he did for us when we came up with all these stories. If it hadn't been for you, Liz, there would have been no Cucumbers the Rabbit. Now look out, world. Here comes Cucumbers the Rabbit. And that is the end of the very first story of Cucumbers the Rabbit. There are 20 stories. The book is, well, it's a novel. 20 short stories. They're bedtime stories. They usually take anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes, maybe a little longer. Each story is different, and one of the things that kids they'll never know what is going to happen next, and because each story is totally different. So, and I just I had a blast writing this book. Took a lot of work too, but I'm very proud of it. My kids one time asked me, because I've done a lot of things in my life. I played college hockey. I was a volunteer firefighter. I taught religious ed. One of the things they asked me was, how do you want to be remembered, Dad? And I said, I want to be known as the author of Cucumbers the Rabbit. Now, one of the things that I'm most proud about is this was a Amazon review of my book, and this is a kid that I have no idea who he is. His name is Brent, and he gave my book a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stars, and he reviewed it August 15th, 2015. It was reviewed in the United States, and he goes, "You are an absolute genius." Well, thank you, Brent. I'm glad my book fooled you. You have no idea how much I love this book. Thank you. That review meant so much to me right there. And I'm going to end this video with a picture right here. I have a dear friend who got a copy of my book. She ran kind of a summer school for these kids, and they would have story time, and she read almost the entire book. There is one story that deals with some stuff that happens in a church, and being that it's a public school, she just felt like maybe she shouldn't read that one story, so the kids didn't get to hear that story about a rabbit who all of a sudden gained the powers of God. It is a pretty fun story, and Cucumbers has to deal with this kid. But they did get to read all the other stories, the 19 other stories, and she asked me if I would come make a visit to her class, because they finished the book, and the kids absolutely loved it. And so I came out there, and I just couldn't believe it. They kept me there for over 2 hours asking me questions. And if you look at this picture, there are a whole bunch of hands up in the air. And I was just drilled with questions, like just a million different questions about the stories, about the characters. I mean, kids were asking me, is Cucumbers real? Where did I get the inspiration for the stories? Where the ideas come from? I mean, it was a really, neat little session that I had with these kids. And so if anything else, if you're looking for a book for your kid, you might want to check out Cucumbers the Rabbit. I'll share one story with you. One of my dear friends has an autistic kid, and the kid struggles in school because he cannot sit down and concentrate on reading or studying books or anything, for more than like 15 minutes. Well, my friend threw a copy of my book at him just for the fun of it, to see what would happen. That kid spent the entire night reading, and this book is 380 pages long. It took him all night to read the entire book. He actually read the entire book from cover to cover. 380 pages. He would not go to sleep until he finished it. And then I saw the kid a couple days later. He comes up to me, he goes, "Good book, Tony." That's what he said to me. Good book, Tony. Yeah. So go ahead, check out Cucumbers the Rabbit. If your kids, it's for like, ages 8 to 12. It's really meant to be a book that's read by parents to children. A book that can be enjoyed by both parents and children together, reading it together. And so, anyways, that was the first story. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you check out my book. And I just want to say goodnight, Wisconsin hugs to all of you. Give your kids a hug, right? They grow up quick, so you only get so many moments with them when they're little. And reading books was one of my treasured moments that I had with my daughter when she was little. And I'm so glad I was, able to write a book for her. That's why I self-published it. It's for her, but I'm sharing it also with all of you. So, all right, I'm out of here. Adios. Peace. Wisconsin hugs.